Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about colour for wimps. I am definitely just stepping out of this category. I avoided colour like the plague for many a year. I was just very happy sticking with my neutrals, sticking with my naturals, my browns, my just about stepping outside of my comfort zone with warmer tones, and maybe sticking with some purples or pinks because that was kind of my safe colour zone that I felt comfortable in. Anything outside of that and I was straight no. It was always a straight no from me when new palettes came out that had lots of colour, lots of greens, blues, yellows, oranges, and oh my goodness. That was always a straight pass for me. Anything too bright, anything too scary, and it was a straight no. But then a palette came into my life that kind of changed all of this, and it made me try colour. It pushed me out of my comfort zone, and since then I've really been enjoying stepping into colour. Now I just filmed my Zendo Natasha Denona palette review and demonstration and looks, hence why this is the shadow that I'm rocking today, and it really had me thinking. I felt like Zendo, that's such a great palette for people who want to try colour but are afraid or not used to it or just stepping into the colour realm, and that's a really safe choice for that. So I decided I wanted to make a video about colour palettes for wimps. If you're taking your first step into colour, if you're afraid of colour, these are the palettes I'd recommend starting off with. As I've already mentioned it, let's talk about Zendo from Natasha Denona. The reason I feel this is great for beginners or for colour shy people is because there's a lot of soft muted looks in here, soft muted colors, super natural. I did a look in here in my review of this palette just using balance in the crease, and I think it was it Yama on the lid, just the most soft, beautiful, everyday, easy going, muted, subtle, soft, natural look ever. So you've got a lot of that going on. You know, you cover these up and that's a very easygoing, soft, neutrals, warm tones, comfort zone place. And then if you're feeling brave, you've got these options over here. So that's why I think this is a great starter colour palette, because you can keep popping back into your safe house, your safe zone, your comfort zone over here, and then when you're feeling braver, you want to play around, you can have a little journey over to these shades and experiment with a little bit of colour that might be out your comfort zone. And if you hate it and you decide colour is not for me after all, you haven't wasted all of your money. It's that great price point, much more affordable than her larger palettes because it's this midi size, but you still get a lot of shades to play with, and you've got a lot of shades you know that you'll use and a few to play with and see how you feel. So that's why I feel like this is a great choice for colour wimps. Now the palette that for me kind of started it all with colour that is still an excellent choice, and this is Mel Thompson by Sydney Grace's Tiny Marvels palette. Oh, this is well loved, let me tell you. It's just so easy to choose looks that you will love. And again, it has, although it looks quite intimidating to me, someone who's colour shy, there's a lot of natural colours in here, a lot of crease shades to work with, a lot of lid shades that are super soft and pretty that you can again jump back into if you get a bit scared or you just have a day where, you know, I just want to go back to my comfort zone and I'm too scared to use these greens and these purples and these plums, and I'm going to go back into using my neutrals. There's options there. There's lots of options. There's also a great number of mattes to shimmers, which again, for someone who's a bit colour shy, it allows you to tone things down instead of having to work with a lot of colour in a really metallic format. You can stick to a lot of mattes with just a bit of a pop on the lid, or you can go into an all matte look. There's definitely options here for that. I think this is just so versatile, but again, it's got that way to pop back into your comfort zone or to start off super muted and just add a bit of colour. It's going to allow you to do as much or as little as you want with one great palette. The formulas are super easy to work with, and you really don't need a lot of skill to use this and get a beautiful, really vibrant look, because the formula just does it for you. It's really a joy to work with, very easy to work with as well. So if you are a beginner or you're just getting started, this is a great colourful palette without it being too intimidating. Probably the least intimidating of all of these palettes, if you are colour shy, is the Urban Decay Wild West palette. This is just absolutely the easiest. If you are really terrified of colour, you just don't think you're ever going to use colour, this is the one that I'd recommend out of all of these, because it's just pretty much, if you take away maybe 3 shades in here, these 2 deeper mattes and then this gorgeous teal, it's a neutrals palette. It's essentially a warm leaning neutrals palette for, you know, real natural, no makeup, easy everyday, whack a couple mattes in the crease and you've got a no makeup look, a soft glam palette with just a few grungy greens to spice things up. Again, the majority of the palette in here, it's not super punchy, it's quite muted, and it's just super easy as far as putting colour combinations together. There's only one colour family in here, so it makes it really easy. You haven't got to mix colour families, you've got lots and lots of crease shades to choose from, and really, like I said, only one colour family to experiment and play with. So if you're colour shy, but this kind of looks a little less scary to you than say bright oranges or yellows or pinks or purples, because this is just deeper and richer and more muted than those real brights that you might see in some of these other palettes. So it's definitely probably the least intimidating, very soft, again, easy to work with, very easy as far as colour combinations, and only a little sprinkle of colour with what is essentially a very neutral palette otherwise. Next up, if pink is your comfort zone when it comes to colour, I cannot recommend this bad boy enough. This is the Pat McGrath Risque Rose palette that I'm always raving about. It just gives you pops of colour, but again, little safe zones. You can just use these 2 on the bottom for a very soft, natural wash of rose, or you can get involved in this fuchsia and really brighten things up and punch things up. And again, you've got then this really stunning lilac shifting shade to really step out your comfort zone. If pink's your comfort zone, this is just going to elevate that, and it's not going to be, you know, you still get to stick with your pinks, your roses, but just spice it up. And this is, again, it's because it's a smaller palette, so it's much more affordable. If you want to try Pat McGrath's shades, you get a matte, a satin, a shimmer and a special shade, so you can try all of her best formulas. So easy to work with, blend like an absolute dream, a tiny bit of shimmer and you've got the most beautiful lid ever. It's just really spicy for a rose color story. It's just going to give you punch, and you can really step things up by how much of this shade you use as well. So you can either steer clear of this shade and keep things a little more muted, a little more rose, or you can add a real bang of this fuchsia and have a super bright electric pink look. So it, again, you can step in or out, you can go soft and gentle and sneak into the colour, or you can jump right in with both feet depending on how much of this shade you're going to use. So again, it's a more affordable way to try Pat McGrath's formula and all of her formulas, and it's also a great way to add or take away a huge hit of colour. And last but not least, if you're feeling the most brave about taking a step into colour, I would recommend the Celestial Divinity palette from Pat McGrath. I believe this is sold out now on her website. It was limited edition, but it is still in stock on Selfridges at the moment I'm making this video, so hopefully it's still there. But the reason I think this is great for those who are colour shy or afraid of colour or taking a first step into colour, although it looks like, Charlotte, are you mad? That's a lot. It looks like a lot of, well, it's a lot of colour. And that's the reason why I think this is a great pick for your first step into colour, or you're trying to get braver with colour, because there's just so many options here. I feel like for myself, I always had myself as a pink purple girl. When it comes to colour, those are my colours, pinks and purples, and that's where I started off playing with something that just wasn't brown or bronze. But when I started playing with the Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels palette, I fell in love with greens, and I didn't know that. I didn't know I loved greens until I tried that palette, and I was like, actually, I love greens. They look great on me. They look great with my eye color, and therefore, you know, because I had them in that palette, I tried and I learned that I love greens. This palette is going to teach you what colors you love, what colors look good on you, and you've got so many options. You've got pinks, purples, reds, greens, oranges, coppers, bronzy shades, but you've got also actually, although it may look very intimidating, you have still got a lot of shades in here that are super easy. I wouldn't say soft, because Pat McGrath, you know, her metallics, they're punchy. They carry a big hit, okay? So there's nothing necessarily really soft about this palette, but there are much less intimidating colours in here. There's several sort of champagne shimmers, a bronze shimmer. You've got this really easy to work with matte that you can either tone up or tone down, use very naturally. This is heavy to hold up like this with one finger, by the way. My hand's starting to shake. And you've also got things like this really muted pink matte, this rosy, dusky rose matte that you and can kind of go back to if you get a bit scared. You could just use these two shades together, will be beautiful. Maybe this matte and one of the sort of champagne-y leaning shimmers again will be gorgeous, and this is going to be really helpful just to play with colour. That's what I find is the most fun palette, this palette, because it's just got so many options. You can play and find out shades that you didn't think would work for you actually are your favourites, shades that you thought you'd like, not so much. And you've just got so much choice and so many options in here. It's one to really learn about colour, learn about the combinations, learn about your preferences, learn what's flattering on you, and just play and get involved. It's a much more affordable price point again than her larger palettes, and you can quite often get this on sale. Like I said, doesn't seem to be back in stock on her website, but maybe it'll come back, and she's always got sales going. So I know this has been available for an absolute steal recently with her big sale. So yeah, it just gives you the option there for an absolute ton of Pat McGrath shades and just playtime, because it is just so much fun to play with colour. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 recommendations for colourful palettes for wimps or beginners or new starters to colour. Please let me know in the comment section what your recommendations are for starting out with colour. The palettes that you found just helped you take a step out of your comfort zone and try some colour. I think it's just a really fun thing to try with eyeshadow. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.